Good afternoon, everyone. We'll call the meeting to order, and we'll begin with our land acknowledgement statement. We acknowledge that the ground on which we live is the traditional territory of Caldwell First Nation, of the Three Fires Confederacy, and the original people of Point Pelee and Pelee Island, and its surrounding lands and waters, and that of the Huron-Wendat and Wyandot peoples. We recognize and respect the First Nations who are stewards of the land and waters of Turtle Island and who have embraced this stewardship since time immemorial. We would also like to acknowledge the contributions of other nearby First Nation communities and all original people across Turtle Island. If we can get an adoption of the agenda for August 26th, 2025. Moved by Councillor Burns, support by Councillor Riccio Spagnolo. All in favor? And that carries. Any disclosures of community interest? There being none, an adoption of our minutes for the Parks Rec Events Committee dated April 22nd, 2025 be received. Moved by Councillor Carrick, support by Councillor Riccio Spagnolo. All in favor? And that carries. So we'll go right into our items for consideration. Number 1, upcoming activities from September 2025 to January of 2026. Our Supervisor of Programming, Julie Turnbull. There we are.
Thank you, Your Worship. So before you is the Fall 2025 Activities Report. The purpose of this report is to keep members of Council apprised to all of the upcoming events, activities, and facility closures. There's quite a few dates in that report, so I'll just highlight a few. Summer programming is wrapping up this week. Kids are heading back to school. Summer day camp will come to a close on Friday, and our sessional programming on Saturday will come to an end. Our fall sessional programming will begin on Sunday, September 28th and run through December the 12th. Registration for fall activities is beginning this week. We opened today for LaSalle residents and will be open for all on Thursday. The winter registration dates are also outlined in the report. Outdoor amenities will be wrapping up for the season as the cooler weather sets in and the seasons come to a close. So the sports fields will be closed for the season on October the 14th, splash pad closing on September the 22nd, and the outdoor pool closed for the season on September 27th. We have quite a few exciting events, both town-led and third-party, that our events team will be supporting. Town-led, to name a few, our night market series, Last Call Before Fall, a senior social, Truck or Treat, and quite a few more there. And then to highlight the closures, we have both the Vollmer Center and the outdoor pool being closed on Monday for Labor Day, and then the Vollmer pool will be closing for annual maintenance thereafter. So the pool will be closed for annual maintenance from September the 1st to September 26th, and we will reopen the pool to the public on Saturday, September 27th. During the duration of the Vollmer pool closure, we keep the outdoor pool open to be able to offer link swimming, aquafit, and a rec swim. And available for any questions if there are any.
Thank you. Members of Council, any questions or comments? None? Okay. The recommendation is that the report of the Supervisor of Programming dated July 25th, 2025 regarding upcoming activities from September 2025 to January of 2026 be received. Moved by Deputy Mayor Capata, support by Councillor Burns. All in favor, and that carries. Item 2, our Strawberry Fest post-event report, and that is our Director of Culture and Rec, Ms. Finero.
Thank you, Your Worship, and members of Council. This report is a follow-up to the 2025 Strawberry Festival, which was once again a success. It was well received by the community with lots of positive feedback, and we had smooth operations and a very safe event with no major incidents. The total attendance over the 4 days was just under 29,000, which was slightly down from 2024. However, our strawberry and ice cream sales did increase up to nearly 5,500, up from 4,600 the previous year. We did conclude the festival with a modest deficit of $1,263, which is shown in the attached financial statement. This was primarily due to rising operational costs, and there are limited opportunities for revenue growth. And we did invest nearly $12,000 in enhancements that improved both the attendee experience and internal operations, which included additional staffing and some event equipment upgrades for this year. And at the same time, we were able to strategically reduce some expenses in other areas which resulted in the net loss of only $1,200. We did want to acknowledge the generosity of local businesses and partners as we exceeded our sponsorship goal by $8,000 and reached a total of $29,000 in sponsorship this year. And this, as you are aware, this strong community support does play a crucial role in offsetting the costs and reflects the shared commitment of the festival's success. Overall, we're very happy with the outcome this year, and it certainly highlights the effectiveness of our financial planning, our cost control efforts, and the value that we have in community partnerships. There's also, as an appendix, an included communication infographic report, which provides a visual representation of some key metrics, the total engagement of over 900,000 for the event. And we do have Ms. Nada here from Strategy and Engagement who can speak to that specific report if there are any further questions. And I'm available if there's any further questions on the remainder of the report.
Thank you very much. Members of council, do you have any questions? I have one. So the loss is small, it's minimal, but obviously we don't want to incur that every single year. So when I was looking at your 12,000 in enhancements, I realized some staff, so that's going to continue to be an enhancement. Are the other items now set and we wouldn't have to do any further enhancements in the next few years? Also, just taking into account that we did have an increase in sponsorships, we can't always guarantee those. So I'm just trying to understand how we ensure that we're not always going to operate in that loss, even if it's minimal. Breaking zero is kind of nice too.
Thank you for the question, Your Worship. There are some costs, or many, which will continue. So as you said, the staffing costs. There was an increase in the contribution to one of our partners for the delivery of strawberries and ice cream. There was some equipment that was purchased that was a one-time purchase that we wouldn't need to make every year. However, we did see some of the revenue due to weather. I think on the Thursday specifically, if I'm not mistaken, was lower than it typically is on a Thursday. And then we did have some additional staffing that we called in due to we got a little bit behind on the strawberries. We had a little bit of an issue with the strawberry cleaning and cutting. So we had some part-time staff who were able to come in and assist us and get us back on track so we could continue with those sales. So we anticipate moving forward that we'll be able to cover those additional costs within the festival budget and not have to go into a deficit.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? Okay, so the recommendations that the report of the Director of Culture and Recreation dated August 5th, 2025 regarding the Strawberry Festival post-event report be received. Moved by Councillor Riccio-Spagnuolo and support by Councillor Carrick. All in favor? And that carries. Our third item is last call before fall event. Back to Ms. Finero.
Thank you again, Your Worship and members of council. Just before I start my verbal report, I do want to acknowledge that I made a mistake and I forgot to attach the financial statement. Ms. Jean was kind enough to help me this morning and correct that and get that uploaded. So my apologies for the oversight on that part, but everybody should have a copy of that and it is available on our website as well. So this report is just as a standard update to the event, which is taking place in just a few weeks. We're once again hosting the last call before fall. We're working again in partnership with Tourism Windsor Essex Pelee Island. This will be the third annual last call before fall on September 5th and 6th. It again will highlight local wines, spirits, ciders, and craft beers from the Lake Erie North Shore region and feature partners from the Barrels, Bottles, and Brews Trail and Epic Wineries. There will also be food trucks with local cuisine as is typical. And the tickets have been on sale since Wednesday, August the 6th. We are sold out for the for the Saturday evening. However, there are still tickets available for Friday. The tickets remain at $25 per night and drink tokens at $2 each. And the budget, again, as I mentioned, was provided to you earlier today by email and does show a modest surplus of $5,200 for the event. And I am available if there's any questions on this report.
Members of council, Councillor Carrick.
So Saturday night sold out, I saw that. So that's very good. So Friday night, how close are we? And is that figured into your budget numbers, if in case we maximize up?
Thank you for the question. I will get the exact numbers from Mr. Bisson, who I believe has them, but it is factored in based on last year's attendance. So we do anticipate that we were conservative in our estimates. We do anticipate that we would meet that revenue in terms of ticket sales, but hopefully we will sell out on Friday as well.
So thank you for the question, Councillor. So we're just about 200 tickets sold for Friday, which the capacity is 1,000. So we've sold out obviously Saturday, as Ms. Finero mentioned. Friday in the last 2 years that we've run the event is around 700, the average, I would say, the last 2 years. I would anticipate we'll probably be somewhere near that. It seems like Friday is always lags behind Saturday. But we sort of check those numbers every day, and our communications group with strategy engagement has been putting the messages out about being sold out Saturday and sort of promoting people to move towards Friday. And we also will take walk-up sales on Friday as well. So we're hoping that the attendance is similar or greater than last year.
Okay, so just whoever's listening, there still is time, probably a couple weeks, so buy your tickets.
Councillor Burns.
Just a question. So Saturday we're sold out. Obviously, I don't stay till midnight. So if I leave at 10, do you have a program in place where as people leave, you allow other people to come in? Or is it just, this is our numbers and we're done? Just a thought.
Thank you for the question. So we are not having people line up outside and kind of one out, one in currently. Something I guess we can consider in the future, but that's currently we are not doing that.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? I have a question regarding the budget. So I'm assuming it's just a change in the way we're going to be doing it from going forward, where stage rental and entertainment sound are now both zeros, but then we have the stage / lighting / sound. I'm assuming that's now going to be an all-encompassing item, and we'll just eventually remove those other ones? Whoever wants to take it.
Thank you for the question. That is correct. We've combined the budget for those two items, the 4 items into 2 items, so that they are typically purchased from the same vendor, so it makes sense just to combine them at the same time within one budget item.
Thank you. And then the other question is, and it's not really that this is our responsibility, but I guess it's messaging we need to put out somehow to our residents. I shared the Facebook post about being sold out on Saturday, and within seconds, there was 5 comments from people who no longer need their tickets, and they don't have any followers on Facebook, and they're all suspicious. So I deleted all the comments. But how do we ensure that we're not going to have, I remember year 1, we had that incident where people unfortunately bought from who they thought were real people. And so how are we going to make sure that that doesn't happen? Are we going to put out messaging, just only buy tickets through us kind of a thing?
Yeah, we do have messaging for it. And when I put out the post, I didn't put the word sold out on mine in the caption section, because that wording is capture spam. So it automatically creates some of that. And then last year, we had some notes that we made. If people started asking those questions or we started seeing it on the post, we were putting it on there. So we can do something closer to where it's actually in the caption to state that as well. So we can tweak the messaging a little bit to do that. But it is a lot of spam that's happening, and it's capturing those specific words that we use, so.
Well, hopefully people will just really pay attention to who they purchase them from then. No other questions? All right. It's recommendations that the report of the Director of Culture and Recreation dated August 5th, 2025 regarding the last call before fall event be received. Moved by Councillor Burns, support by Councillor Carrick. All in favor? And that carries. Friendship Club room community space availability. Ms. Finero.
Thank you again, Your Worship. This report is regarding the use of the Friendship Club room for community use at no charge. If Council will recall, back in 2023, the CAO brought forward a report after meeting with the executive of the Friendship Club to determine what times and days the space might be available that community groups who were looking to host meetings specifically could use the room and book through us at no charge for the purposes of that meeting. So typically, nonprofit organizations or those that are charitable organizations could book the room. Since that time, the Friendship Club has had a change in executive, and they have now requested additional hours for their programming. And we wanted to make council aware that this is the direction, since the initial report had different hours that were available to the community. So the changes that the group are asking for actually result in a total, it's slightly different than what's on my report. Since the report was submitted on the deadline, we did receive a request for another additional half an hour that the Friendship Club would like to use. So Monday, Friday, and Saturday, the group would like to access their room at 11 a.m. instead of 12 noon, and that's for the purposes of getting their program set up. And then Wednesdays, they would like to access the room at 4:30 instead of 5 p.m., and on Mondays, they would like to stay until 5 p.m. instead of 4:30 p.m. So it does alter the hours slightly that are available to the community. Those hours, again, are listed on the page after with the updated times that are available. We do think that the use of the space could occasionally extend beyond those scheduled hours if we can prepare the room. For example, if we were to use it for our seniors active living programming and we knew that we were able to make a quick turnover and get out of the room when the Friendship Club needs it, we may use it beyond the community hours times. However, if we know that there's a group that's going to take some time to exit, we want to make sure that we leave a little bit of a buffer in there so that one group can get out and the next can come in. So these adjustments are intended to support the Friendship Club's programming needs, but we've also tried to allow some flexibility for community and town use as well, and we think we've achieved that with this schedule.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Good. All right. No questions. The recommendation is that the report of the Director of Culture and Recreation dated August 7th, 2025 regarding the Friendship Club room community space availability be received, but I'm also assuming it should also be approved? Or is it just received? Just received? Just received. Councilor Regis Spagnolo, support. Deputy Mayor Capata, all in favor? And that carries. Ms. Finero, LaSalle Landing Skate Loaning Program.
Thank you. Your Worship and members of council, this report is regarding the initiation of a skate loaning program when the LaSalle Loop skate trail opens this winter. We were fortunate to receive $30,000 in one-time funding from Enbridge, which was through their Fueling Futures initiative. And we intend on using this to support the launch of a skate loaning and skate aid program at the outdoor trail. It would be offered on weekends and school holidays throughout the winter season. And it's really designed to make outdoor skating accessible to residents and visitors. So those that may not have skates would not have to go and purchase a pair of skates. They could borrow some. And then also to have some skate aids that are available, which are fun and whimsical, I guess I'll say, in nature, and are an additional feature that you wouldn't typically see in an arena public skating atmosphere. So adds another element and makes it more inviting for young families. So the funding that's provided by Enbridge would be used to cover the initial startup cost, which would include the purchase of the ice skates, the skate aids, a storage shed, and some equipment racking for the program. And then the town would cover the program's ongoing operational costs, which we've estimated to be about $12,000 annually. So for the winter season, beginning from the end of November, roughly until March, when there would no longer be ice and skating. Certainly, we can scale that back if we start the program and we find that we are not getting, the use out of it. We can reduce the hours so that we're not spending as much for the operational costs. But it also gives us a staff person who would be there who could provide additional support at the trail if necessary, particularly in the early days as we're getting things up and running. So we anticipate, as I said, $12,000, and we would absorb that in the Culture and Recreation operating budget.
Thank you. Councilor Regis Spagnolo.
Thank you. Through you to Mrs. Pinaro. Just a question, because I know it's going to be posed to me. I'm on parent council at my daughter's school, and already on our little group chat, there was a question being asked from this school specifically. However, I know other schools will be inquiring as well. I'm thinking for field trips. during the winter months, a lot of students are going to want to go there, younger grades, and skate. Will there be a program offered from the town when it comes to that? Like, will there be a staffing, will there be an issue if, say, 2 or 3 classes wanted to go, or 2 classes wanted to go to the loop to skate? Is that something that you would oversee that, or is that just something that the school would just bring the students without having to contact yourself for any, I guess, details, questions, services that you and your staff would offer? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. We haven't discussed that thus far in terms of specifically field trips, but I think it would likely be handled much in the same way we handle the splash pad, in that I don't think we have them rent. If they want to rent the pavilion, certainly at the splash pad, that is something that would have to be booked, but if you're just coming to use the splash pad or the playground, it doesn't have to be booked, and I would anticipate we would handle the trail in the same manner. Certainly, if there was the skate loaning component, that's something we can explore to see. There would be a cost associated with that if they wanted to have that program available during school hours. It wouldn't typically be open during that time, so that's something we could explore the cost of that to provide. That would be dependent on staff availability, of course, as well. But at this point, I think it would be just a first come, first serve, like any park is.
Just on that, now that we're going to have the tent structure there, though, would they maybe want to rent that? Obviously, some students are cold, they want to warm up. Would that be something similar to what we do with the splash pad, or are we going to just step away and kind of leave everything? I guess that's trying to figure out how we would manage it, if it's similar or not.
Thank you for the question. I think at this point, we probably wouldn't rent it because we would want it to be available for the public as well. But certainly, we're prepared to monitor operations. Like all of the various things that we've opened over the years, we'll monitor it, and if we need to make adjustments or changes, we certainly can bring that information back to council and make adjustments if necessary. But I think something like that warming tent, you would want available to anyone, because it would be difficult to communicate with people if you're shutting certain things down at certain times. We want people to be able to enjoy that during all the operational hours.
I agree, except I'm expecting the request. Maybe we should just kind of visit what it'd be like, because I think it's similar to the splash pad, because the splash pad, we don't restrict people from using it when it's rented, do we? So we're just restricting the use of the pavilion, though.
Yes, just the pavilion.
So that's why I'm wondering how similar that would be down at the skate trail, and maybe something we should just explore over the next month or two, just in case those questions come. We may not get any requests, but it might be worth us understanding if it's something we'd be willing to do, and the cost if we were going to, for 2 hours, give them that room as a private space, especially since they have a lot of young kids with them. They may want that safety area, so just something for us, I think, to maybe think about, just in case that request comes our way.
We can certainly review that.
Councilor Burns?
Yes. I think if schools are going to bring children there, I wouldn't want to see 6 buses of kids, 30 in a bus, to show up. I don't think it's big enough to handle that, so it would be just a thought as we're moving forward that maybe what we should do is write the schools and have them request the time so we know, so we don't have a double or triple booking. I mean, I don't know how many that area can handle, but it might be a conflict like anything we book. Just a thought that what you do with it is yours. But, what if one comes from St. Joe? What if it comes from over Prince Andrew, where it used to be the new school, or the high schools? I mean, you may have mix and match if you have little toddlers, and then you have somebody from Villanova. Just a thought.
I know what you're saying. I don't disagree, except for the fact that there's no way for us to close the trail. The skate trail itself, I mean, if a family comes out with a 3-year-old to learn to skate and there's schools there, we can't do anything. It could help maybe with a request just so they know that their other schools are there, but I don't think there's a way to stop them. My thought was only for the indoor area, because obviously that does have a maximum capacity inside there. That's kind of what I was thinking about for that spot, but I don't know, yeah.
No, I wouldn't restrict it to the public, but I mean, what if you have 4 buses there? That's my only thought. You could have 120 skaters, plus, you can't limit, if I want to take my grandson down there, because I'm the one who helped pay for that. So I understand that, but just a thought. I mean, I'm sure once you have experiences with what goes on, you'll make changes as needed. Thank you. The only other thing I want to say is, have we thanked Enwin for the $30,000 donation? Maybe I would think that the mayor should write a letter thanking them. It's nice to get money, and I think you're on that board, but it would be nice coming from council, and that we appreciate their donation. Thank you.
So just to clarify, it is Enwin, not Essex Power. Enbridge, sorry, Enbridge, not Essex Power.
Yeah.
But I think this is finally our decision of what those funds were going towards, so I don't know if we've even notified them yet, or have we?
Yes, thank you for the question. There was an application process for the funds, so we had to sort of apply and tell them what we intended to use it for. So they are aware that's what we intend to use it for. There has not been any sort of formal correspondence that I'm aware of thanking them for the money. We did have the opportunity, we ran into a representative recently, we did have the opportunity to verbally thank them, and certainly there's a component of the program that would recognize them as the sponsor of it on the skate loaning shed, so that would be up throughout the season to thank them as well. But I've made note of the formal thank you as well, requested from Councillor Burns, and we can follow up with that.
Yeah, like I'd like to send a formal thank you, and then I think whatever day we decide to do our grand opening, maybe invite them to attend that event and thank them there as well. Good? Okay. So, the recommendations that the report of the Director of Culture and Recreation dated August 7th, 2025 regarding LaSalle Landing Skate Loaning Program be received. Moved by Councillor Burns, support by Councillor Regis Spagnolo. All in favor? Carries. Item 6, 2025 Spring Session Report of Joint Programs and Events between Culture and Recreation and Public Works. Our Manager of Culture and Recreation, Mr. Bisson.
Thank you, Your Worship and members of council. I do have a very brief presentation, so I'm just going to share my screen here, and hopefully we should be good to go in a second. Perfect, there we go. So the report before you is our regular quarterly report we bring to the Parks, Recreation, Events Committee. This particular report is for the last session, which would have been our spring session, April, May, and June. And as a reminder, these reports are really meant to give council a summary of the activities that have taken place over that period of time, and maybe highlight some important things that have transpired in that time, just to give you some context of how the different programs and events and membership service have taken place over that quarter. So just to start, just looking at our programming update, we had 3,315 total participant registrations in the spring, which was a huge increase over spring 2024. You'll see in there that our aquatic programming and our recreation programming activities that take place at the Vollmer were fairly steady, and when combined, there was only a net gain of 30 participants. The vast majority of the new participants were the result of our senior active living program. So you'll remember that the province of Ontario, we applied and were granted funding through the Senior Active Living Centre grant to offer the LaSalle Senior Active Living Program, and we began on April 1st, and it's been a tremendous success so far. That entire sort of increase that I highlighted on the previous slide was made up of these new participants as part of that senior program. 1,295 people took part in the 51 activities we offered in that April, May, June timeframe. Ms. Turnbull and Ms. Martin from our recreation programming team have done an amazing job getting this up and running so quickly. We only found out, obviously, in the early part of the year that we were successful, and then, you know, you have to get all the programs up and running, get all the communication out, get the instructors or the people that are coming to present in line, and to have nearly 1,300 people in the first quarter, and if we extrapolate that over a year, you know, 5,000 new participants in senior programming, it's really great to see. The great thing about this program is, assuming that we meet all the parameters of the grant, which we intend to do, the funding is annual. So we can apply every year and continue to deliver this year after year. Some of the things that people are participating in are, we had a Learn to Dance program at the Vollmer. We have our walking program that utilizes the trail system in LaSalle as well as the walking track. We had a Learn to Aquafit class and trying to encourage people to try out aquafitness and maybe join us as members in the future. And our partnership with the Friendship Club here, using the community room here at the Civic Center, teaching people new board games, card games, arts and crafts skills. So we've had a variety of different activities that have been really well received, and we're really happy with how that program's gone so far. We also, through the SALC program, were able to host the first ever Senior Expo at the Event Center, which was in June during Seniors Month. We had well over 60 different community agencies take part. It was a great event, and our attendance was really strong, especially when you consider, you would all recall that the day that we had the expo, we had quite a storm roll through LaSalle and had a tree uprooted on Laurier and several other trees damaged throughout the town. And we still had, I believe it was 365 people come out to that expo, even, when we had the vendors sheltering at some point. So it was a really successful event. We intend to make it an annual event. It was a great opportunity for people to interact with service organizations that serve that senior and older adult population, as well as our own police and fire services. And we even were happy to welcome MPP Liardi, who you see in the bottom picture there, taking part in the pickleball demonstration. So it was really a great event. Kind of moving on to our membership services, I highlighted in the report that we continue to see more and more people interested and joining as members. And, I obviously like numbers and statistics, as I'm sure you've gleaned over all of these Parks Rec Events Committee meetings. But one thing I thought was really important to highlight is we quarterly have a fitness newsletter that goes out to all our members, and we try to highlight a member story. And we had one member who wrote something for us, and we added to the report. And it's really good to see that people are coming, being active, but sort of the impact it has in their lives. And Mr. Harwood wrote the letter on behalf of him and his wife, Wynn, and they talk about how the Vollmers changed their life and how it's how they start every day. And I see them every morning when I'm coming in, and they've finished their workout together upstairs. And they really are complimentary of the staff they get to work with, both when they come in and get greeted at the front, to Mara and the other fitness staff that, taught them about the machines and got them comfortable and working out, because this was new to certainly Wynn and Hank as well. And it was a very, great little story they wrote, and we'll make sure we share that with all of you. But just wanted to highlight it as part of this report. I think we continue to see more people interested in joining as members, and I think it's because we have a great facility we have that council's invested in, and we have a very clean and well taken care of facility, thanks to the work done by our Public Works Group, and specifically facilities at the Vollmer, and it's created an environment where people want to take part. Kind of moving on to events. Events continue to creep up. So when compared to spring 2024, we added a few more events, and total event days went up as well. So we had 29 town-led or third-party events in that quarter, along with 41 total event days. That picture on the right is from our night market in May. And the night markets have been continuing to be successful events and continuing to grow with vendor interest. And one thing I kind of wanted to highlight is, we send out surveys and ask for feedback from the vendors, and often we ask them, what their sales were like, and I think sometimes they're a little reluctant to share what that might be. But when you look at the entertainers that we're able to employ through the market, you look at the different food and retail vendors, you look at the people that sell produce and plants and things like that of that nature. When you consider we have 80 vendors roughly at all of these markets, and even if they're selling $250 a piece, which isn't probably, they're selling more than that, like $20,000 of economic impact through these markets. So I think it was important to highlight just for council, supporting the events budget through our budget process. It's been great. It's been allowing us to do these night markets and give things for people to do in the community, but also giving small business in the community a chance to make money. So the other part of the night market that we wanted to highlight is we've been utilizing a town booth at the night markets and rotating different departments through. So in May, Public Works, for example, was there at the Sunday night market and talked about the public work projects that were going on. It's a great opportunity to engage with the public and share different projects that are going on, answer questions, and get out good information. And as well, we also work with other community partners, and the bottom image there is Tourism Windsor Essex Pelee Island came, and they're sharing information about our region as well. So the night markets have been a great activity event for the community, but I think also for us as a town to engage with the community more and share more information. The Spring Fling was another huge event, and there's some photos from there. You can see in the bottom image just how many people attended. It was a great event. It was very well attended. It fell on Easter weekend this year. We look forward to doing that again next year. And of course, we had a lot of third-party and partner events. So all of you were in attendance for the Rotary Grand Opening. We had our flag raisings that took place, both Accessibility and Pride in the spring. We had the Business Connect event, Community Connect event at the event center. And of course, the bottom image is just a private market that took place and rented. So we continue to see lots of events coming to the town. Between ourselves and Public Works, we're trying to support as many events as we can and try to do it at a high level. And then finally, of course, Strawberry Festival, as Ms. Fornero talked about earlier with the wrap-up report. Another really positive event here. We're just kind of highlighting all of our strawberry eating contest winners. But overall, we had a really successful spring session. And we're looking forward to having even more successful spring next year and bringing back the data on how all of those activities go. And with that, I'm available for any questions you might have.
Thank you. Members of council, any questions or comments? No. Great job as always to everyone and really all the departments who make all these events successful. Recommendations at the report of the Manager of Culture and Rec dated August 8th, 2025 regarding the 2025 Spring Session Report of Joint Programs and Events between Culture and Rec and Public Works be received. Moved by Councilor Regis Spagnolo, support by Councilor Carrick. All in favor? And that carries. Any questions or statements from members of council? Councilor Regis Spagnolo.
Thank you. Through you, maybe to Mrs. Venaro, I'm not sure. But I do have a question. Are we going to be, or is it in the budget, maybe Tano, you would know this too, are we going to be adding a digital sign like we have at the Valmer at the event center? I think that's a great avenue to be able to promote not only town-led events, but third-party events to the town, and just, I guess, highlighting, kind of like what you do with the Valmer, if there's a Vipers game or if it's the facilities closed or whatever the case may be, it's great communication. But I was thinking about the digital signage as well as a Town of LaSalle flag and a Canada flag at that location. Just wanted to know if somebody is able to answer that.
Thank you for the question. I'll try to handle that one. It is on the list of wishes for the LaSalle Landing. As I had mentioned previously in one of my previous reports, at budget time we'll be back with a list of things that are outstanding at the LaSalle Landing project, a whole host of phases as well as small additional things that can be added to really start to set off the area quite well. That is one of the things that we have been internally talking about, but it has not been budgeted for as of yet, so we will be back before council with a list of all the little things, all the big ticket items, a whole comprehensive list, and how they all fall in together. So we will be back before council with that type of stuff, but it is on the wish list per se that we are really wanting to explore as well.
Any other questions? No? Next meeting is scheduled for November 26, 2025 at 4:30 p.m. Meeting's adjourned.